Hi guys, welcome back. And before we get into the nitty gritty of what we're going to talk about today, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this particular video, and even, dare I say it, leave a comment in the chat so we can get the word out there about the integration of DBT and schema therapy as an evidence-based approach to shifting behaviour patterns that are connected to addictive, obsessive, and compulsive coping mechanisms. In this video, we're going to explore something that has a lot of us losing our shit when we feel like things aren't fair. It's something that's drilled into us at a subconscious level when we're kids, and it never really leaves us throughout our adult lives if we don't draw attention to it and then address its emotional impact on our behaviours. So today, let's have a conversation about what we call the just world myth. Alright, so for those of you that have never really heard of this before, it's a well-established concept that's been around for quite a while. Sometimes it gets referred to as the just world hypothesis, the just world fallacy, or sometimes the just world bias. But to be honest, this is just semantics, and it all stems from the same basic idea. An idea that's generated primarily when we're children, and one, as I said before, which tends to sit at a subconscious level as a result of the messaging we get from the people around us when we do what we're told to do. This message comes from our parents, our primary caregivers, our teachers, our coaches, and anyone that we see to be rewarding or punishing us for our typical childhood behaviours. The just world myth basically stems from the idea that when we do good things, we will get rewarded, and when we do bad things, we will get punished. This then has a tendency to lead our young and impressionable minds into a pretty subjective belief structure at a very early age that good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. This black and white rigid perspective generally isn't something that's pushed on us deliberately with any type of malicious intent. It's just the way things are done to teach most children the important lesson of understanding right from wrong. I followed the basic principles of its lessons myself with my own kids, rewarding them for doing the right thing and not rewarding them when they don't. And while I try my best not to use punishment with my kids wherever it's possible, it is undeniable that it's a lesson that has to be learned to some degree if we want our kids to develop into healthy adults. Typically, as we get older, our experiences start to teach us that this point of view is quite flawed, to say the very least. We start to see things happening in the world around us all the time that just don't line up with this rigid perspective. And as we notice these things, we talk about them openly with the people who support us in a way that helps to develop the emotional maturity we need to see things objectively from a more realistic point of view. In actuality, sometimes good things do happen to bad people. And on the flip side, it's definitely the case that bad things do happen to really good people. It's generally not a reflection of who they are as individuals, regardless of what we may sometimes believe to be karma or the idea of what goes around comes around. Because, sometimes it does play out like this. The person who did all those bad things does get their comeuppance, and at the same time, sometimes it most definitely does not play out like this at all. And this is just the way the world is. We have to see these experiences for what they are, accept the situation as it currently is, and move forward taking actions to live the life we want to live by being the person we want to be and living a values-based life, which generally doesn't mean holding on to resentment and wishing ill will on the people around us, as this is only hurtful to us and not the people we're feeling these things towards. That is, unless this is the type of person you want to be, which, if that's the case, okay, you get to make that choice as an adult and live by the consequences of those decisions. Developing an adaptive and effective way of viewing the world is all very well when we grow up in an environment that teaches us these valuable lessons, an environment that helps us to develop the emotional maturity we need for a healthy adult approach to our particular worldview. For a lot of people, myself included, this was definitely not the case. In fact, emotional maturity is something that's taken a lot of work for me to develop in my recovery journey. But the just world myth can be particularly impactful if you experience a level of childhood trauma, any unmet childhood needs, or anything that may cause you to question why certain bad things keep happening to you. The just world myth then has you believing that simply the logical conclusion to all of these negative experiences is that it has to be the case I am a bad person. And so an extremely maladaptive and very ineffective story gets created, one that's attached to particular schemas which begin to build a solid foundation in a childhood point of view, a point of view that continues to grow as we move forward in life, finding more and more evidence to support the perspective because subconsciously we're now living our life finding exactly what it is that we're looking for. This point of view usually leads to a general sense of shame that's linked to the story about just being a bad person, and it can lead to things like anger, procrastination, avoidance, and many other maladaptive coping mechanisms to escape from the unwanted emotional experience. The skills of dialectical behaviour therapy provide an effective and adaptive way to shift this point of view. It all starts with first acknowledging that the just world myth is something that causes us problems that activate emotional distress. So first things first, we have to use the skills of mindfulness to recognize this distress and activate the stop skill. Then we can move into radical acceptance, as this is the primary place to start once we can unblend from the distress created by the just world myth. There's something that I want that I just can't have, and it's not the catastrophe I think it is that I can't have it right now. And this perspective can take a little bit of work to establish, a basic desire to understand what it is that we want to be different, that we simply can't change right now. Exploring the meaning that we attach to the fact that things are the way that they are, so we can challenge this perspective from a dialectical point of view and line up with living the life we want to live by being the person we want to be. Sometimes finding this dialectical perspective can be extremely difficult to do. So it means brainstorming with other people in our support network so that we can find a new way of seeing this uncomfortable situation. Being open to hearing things from a different point of view, not rigidly attached to what is often our own self-deprecating opinion, is absolutely essential. Without the flexibility to see things differently, we often fail to step out of the emotional suffering that we're currently trapped in. If you want to know more about these skills and the way we can use them to live the life we want to live, come join the conversation in the free online meetings I facilitate each week on Zoom. I'll leave a link to the page containing more information about these groups in the description below. I hope this video gave you an idea of what the just world myth is and how we can shift this perspective to support the changes we're trying to make. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Take care, be safe, and be well.